Hello. Jolly nice it is to be here and to see so many happy, smiling faces. Just to give you a little bit of a clue about me as an individual, I, 25 years ago, bought an Amstrad PC computer. I love tech. And I then started working for Motorola, running their design for all of their products for 12 years. And I happily had one of the earliest car phones that was called a luggable, and went on later, as you can see there, to demonstrating a $1 million wrist phone to some French journalists in Paris, which was quite an interesting experience. What about me personally? Well, I am unfortunately a digital immigrant. I would love to have been a native, but I'm just frankly too old. So I've been on Facebook a long time, but my favorites are Instagram. I love sharing photographs. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm an avid photographer and love all things digital. I even have a clout score. How many people in the room have a clout score? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Few people. Okay. Brandfuel has been incredibly fortunate. We are extremely lucky to have worked with some amazing clients. It's been my privilege to hold the tiger by the tail and to look after the European Google business for the last 10 years. And that has meant, along with other clients such as Twitter and YouTube, Natixis, Photobox, Eventbrite, you'll be hearing from Marion later on today, we've done some really quite interesting things and have always been pushed really hard by these companies to come up with new, innovative, technologically advanced solutions, but not tech for the sake of tech. Now, you're here today to be enveloped in all things technological, but I want to stress to you that there is a really serious reason for that, and there is a really good reason to embrace that. You're going to hear from some interesting people today, some real experts in their field. I'm not going to blow their cover just yet. But let me tell you about a few things that we've done. So, Zeitgeist. How many people are familiar with the Zeitgeist Partner Forum? Okay, let me just explain a little bit about it. There are a few global events in the world that really push the edge in terms of gathering phenomenal speakers and bringing together incredible CEOs. And we've been very fortunate to work on this particular event for the last 7 years. We're doing our 8th very shortly, and it's held, there are 2. There's one in the States and there's one in Europe, and we do the one in Europe. It's a thought leadership program, and you can get a rough idea of the sort of level of people that turn up to speak. The logistics of putting this event together are really quite extraordinary. It's not a huge event in terms of numbers. We're only talking 360 to 400 delegates, but they're all VIPs, they're all C-level. We have 40+ speakers that come from all over the world. We've had royalty, kings, queens, all of the politicians you care to shake a stick at. So some really difficult things to manage. And over the years, with working with some incredible colleagues who are absolutely top of their game, who I'm really delighted to say are here to help and to bring that experience to you today, they have achieved some really extraordinary stuff. So using technology very carefully, they've been able to look after these delegates to give them the very best experience possible. We've also, for the last 3 years, produced a summit called One Young World. Now this really is like a little mini Olympics. You'll begin to understand a little bit about the complexity of this in the sense that, firstly, we get great counselors, but secondly, the event moves every year to a different country, and that country always has a different culture. So we've been in London for the first year, we've been in Switzerland for the second, we're in Pittsburgh in the States for the third, and we're now working on the next one in Johannesburg. Now, but those things mean all sorts of logistical and registration and delegate management difficulties. And I'm going to give you a little bit of an example about how that scales. We deal with 1,115 delegates. I'm talking about delegates coming from 182 different countries. So imagine you've got pretty much every possible religion, and every possible dietary requirement. Add to that the flights, so we handle all the flight bookings, and then imagine that these are people who are between the ages of 16 to 30. A lot of them, unbelievably, have never left their country. So we're dealing with people who really need a lot of looking after from the moment their ticket is booked. But actually it starts before then, because our registration system has to cope with visa applications. So we're dealing with a third of these delegates requiring visas to leave their country for the first time. Sometimes that means that delegate actually has to leave their country in order to be able to get to a place which can issue a visa. 6 hotels, 4,805 room nights. And then, just to make life really difficult, the Americans said to us last year, we'd love to do family dining. Can you imagine that? All those of you in logistics, we're going to take nearly 1,200 kids who've never been to Pittsburgh, and on one night, they're all going to go out to 120 different private homes to have dinner. Imagine the logistics. Just getting them there, and being able to know that that family is going to deal with whatever dietary requirement might turn up. So imagine doing that job on paper. Can you think about a spreadsheet, perhaps? Oh, that would be really, really taxing. But our logs team handled that incredibly well, and in fact, the feedback from those delegates, and this is what really counts, the feedback from those delegates was, what was the best thing about their 3 days in Pittsburgh? It was that family dining night that we all had absolute nightmares over, sleepless nights. We were terrified of what was going to happen, of kidnappings, of kids going missing, of dietary issues and all this kind of stuff. But I want to tell you one story, and I want to tell you this one story because it is the reward that you can get for using technology and for delivering a great experience. So during the first summit, it also happened to coincide with a very well-publicized disaster. And that disaster involved Haiti. We had a delegate, a young lad called James Alcime. James went missing. But because our delegate registration team had put everything in place, they had the time, or one individual had the time, to track down that one individual. Now that meant actually getting hold of James in a disaster zone, buying him some shoes remotely, getting him transport across into the Dominican Republic by coach, getting him a hotel room, getting him a visa, getting him transport out of a country that was in complete chaos, getting him through New York without one individual rap artist who wanted to get hold of him first, and getting him into London. And the incredible thing was, the first thing James said was, "Where's that man there? Anton." Because he'd really looked after him, and he'd been able to look after him because everything was in place and this enormous technological whirlpool going on. And that's the reward for getting this right. And that's why you really should think about embracing all things technological. Now, I can't possibly talk about just conferences because there are extreme difficulties and challenges when it comes to exhibitions, because you don't have this more formal invitation process, yet you still need to capture the delegate experience. We do, or have done, quite a big show in Mobile World Congress for Android. And the key to this is really thinking in advance. And actually, you can do this in conferences too, but it's building in the ROI capture moments into your stand or into your conference presence. And we secretly kind of built into this whole enormous 2,000 square meter stand ways of capturing delicate experiences so that we could then give the client the ROI numbers that they needed to justify the spend. So we could tell the client categorically at the end of this job that we had 37,000 visitors, that we served 27,500 smoothies, that 2,700 people went down the slide. Why did we know that? Because we had a photographer with an automatic photo system taking a photo of every single person that goes down the slide, and then they collect their picture. We had all sorts of tech on the stand as well, from developer stuff to robots to making bejeweled cases and all sorts. So it can be fun. But I want to ask you a question. So iPads at the ready. What, as delegate organisers, event organisers, what really keeps you awake at night? Could we have a bit of music? And there we have it. Marginally in the lead, it's the number of people turning up. And actually, I agree with you. I really do agree with you. I think that is one of the bigger issues about putting on events. And we're kind of lucky. As an agency, we're not normally in that particular firing line. We're there helping, we're there supporting, we're there having the systems in place, but we generally, as an agency, don't get involved in the marketing and the promotion and the engagement, albeit there are other bits of the business that do. Quality of people, that was a bit quick, maybe that was me. Quality of people is always important too, of course. And the reason that I think this is such a great day for you potentially, guys, is this. It's that with the use of technology in the right way, what happens is you create more time. And the key message that I would like you to take away from this today is that that extra time can then be redeployed back into the human engagement. This is what this is all about. I love this. This is not quite a quote, so I haven't attributed it. But it is, I believe, so don't quote me, I believe that is the sentiment of one Sergey Brin. That computers have stopped being extraordinary to us, and that's a huge step forward. It's a huge step forward because letting technology do the work means we can do what we do best. And what he really means by that is love, passion, time, engaging with people. So the sort of summary of this is that the traditional delegate experience, handling stuff by paper, on spreadsheets, by email, is laborious, it's time-consuming, it's labour-intensive. We want to save that time. We want you, using technology, to have the chance to look more professional going about your work. It's slow. We want you to be fast. We want systems to be quick. We want things to happen for your delegates as you acquire them to happen quickly, swiftly. We don't want you to be frustrated. We want you to have time to enhance the delegate experience. And we want you to be able to retain incredible insights after the event. All the data that you capture pre, during, and post the event has the potential for creating incredible insights and amplifying your message and everything that you do. We were in Davos in January this year, and one of the big themes of Davos this year was this idea of increasing the return on human capital. And what they were talking about was measuring productivity through objective outcomes, particularly finance and money. And what they really meant was they want people to measure outcomes in terms of skills, innovation, and creativity. This was the sea change that they were talking about. I would love you to think about ROHC, but think about it in terms of technology and delegate management, because I would like you to be using technology to increase the return on human capital. So use it to get time to re-engage and to engage and to maximize the human engagement, the human piece. So that's it from me. You have some incredible speakers coming today. We've got a really good session coming up next. There are experts here. Make the most of them. Ask them your questions. Use the iPads to ask questions through Chris. Really enjoy the day. There's some fun too. I'm back again in the afternoon, bumbling my way through a lovely session with Tim Williams. So thank you very much. I will hand over to Chris.